Welcome back to another episode of The Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everbro Shears. I am starting a new series here that will be fit over 40, and it I'll line up the 8 different areas of maturity over time, but the fit portion in the physical body will be something that I spend a bit of time talking about here. There's a reason why I pick 40, not only because I'm in my 40s, I'm actually the halfway mark at 45, but the, you know, why we fall off our fitness journey in that. So, first off, let's get into this, right? All right. So, whenever I train people, doing personal training or the developmental training, especially specifically whenever it comes to physical conditioning, for any reason, not just necessarily personal training as much as just like sports conditioning or different types of conditioning protocols. I'll use the 7 questions of readiness. I'll rattle them off real quick, but I'll go over them more in depth in later episodes. So first off, the 7 questions of readiness. The intention of this is to help give a really in-depth insight into the body of the person that I'm working with. So to let me know, hey, if this person is really, pushing and they have a high desire for intensity, I need to make sure that this person's physical body is capable of keeping up. And is this stress related? Are they trying to work on something that would be better addressed in a different way so that we don't run the potential of a red line issue, where we're kind of redlining on the tachometer here and causing the person to, risk injury. But I have ways of figuring that out through the 7 questions of readiness. So with that, I just grabbed one real quick because most people go into the gym with an intention of like, hey, I'm going to get a good workout today. They're not really qualifying the actual depth or the level of integrity they're going after. They're just interested in putting themselves through a good workout or a hard workout. So, because that's typically the validation value, right? Like that's the way to validate a good workout is that you kicked your own butt for most people, or at least that seems to be common. All right, so there's energy is one of the areas of the 7 areas here. So the 7 questions, energy 1 to 10, 1 being I have no energy, and 10 being I feel like I'm vibrating in my skin, right? I'm so energetic, I'm ready to go. Intensity 1 to 10, 1 being I don't feel like doing anything, I'd rather take a nap, and 10 being make me puke. I'm going to push so hard, push me past my limits. Stress 1 to 10, 1 being I don't have any stress at all, I don't know what you're talking about. And then 10 being like a scene from the movie Scanners where the dude's head explodes. It's too much stress, right? We have sleep 1 to 10. What's the qualifying value of that? It's not turning the lights off and sleeping like a log. It's the quality of waking up feeling refreshed and ready to go. 1 being I slept like a corpse, or I didn't sleep at all. And 10 being I am so incredibly rested that I really don't feel like I even need a nap or anything. I'm just ready for the day. So food would be more of did you eat, when did you eat, and how much did you eat. So I want to know if they have food on their stomach or not. And if they're coming into the gym to work out, or they're meeting with me to work out, or we're going over an online correspondence or online conditioning, I want to know when they ate so that I know whether or not get a pretty good idea if they're going to get some undesirable experiences out of the workout, especially if they want a high intensity. So water. How much water did you drink today? In ounces. Qualify as best you can. The majority of the time what I hear from people is, I don't know, I drink a lot of water. I'm like, well, qualify that. Tell me how much. Or I don't drink enough. How much is that? I don't know. By the way, I'm going to talk about water here today. It's going to be one of the points of the video specifically. So water, it's the great lubricant of the body. And then pain. It's basically it's discomfort to pain. Discomfort would be on the low end. It would be like anywhere from a 1, up to somewhere around a 5. And then a 6 would be where it's like the bottom end of pain and it's working its way up to being unbearable, which would be a 10. So those are the 7 questions of readiness. Now, when I ask my clients those questions, as they've become familiar with me, it usually takes about a week to 2 weeks. They just know already, And they'll have their own lineup because everybody seems to adopt it in their own way. Like, oh, I like going out about it this way. Hey, I don't care. As long as I know I get all 7 questions, I will factor in your readiness for the workout and your conditioning, whatever that might be. This also can help me understand more as far as like, hey, if you got a big test coming up or you really have to study something or you're really trying to retain information, this is another way to help me understand if you're actually in a prime position to better retain information. So it's a pretty in-depth thing. It's a holistic approach to readiness. So water, let's talk about that one today. Water itself. Well, when I say water, I mean water. I mean, it's ideal that it would be from an artesian well or spring. It's water is coming right out of the ground, ready to drink. It's mineralized. It's good to go. By the way, I live in Florida. One of the best waters that was tested by a local doctor several years back. He tested Fiji, Evian, Dasani, a lot of the popular waters, including Zephyr Hills. And of all of them, even though back then Evian came in glass bottles, and you can still get in glass bottles in places, but they seem to do a lot of plastic now, or at least that seems to be the most common in my area. Fiji, all of those. Zephyr Hills came in at the highest quality, the best water to drink, best water, mineral content, things like that. So there's a lot to talk about with water. Today, I'm going to spend more time talking from one, basic functions in the body, and I'll talk a bit more about like why you're dealing with really pesky weight loss. Because it can very well be as simple as how much water are you drinking, and I'll go over why. So now there's different types of water. Now, when it comes to water, there is purified, there's spring water, there is distilled, there's RO. So RO is reverse osmosis. And I'll tell you the benefits for at least the ones that actually stand out for benefits. If you're doing a detox, you can actually do you can get better results and more cleansing if you use distilled or RO water, but not to use it for long. Here's the thing about distilled water. What it is evaporated water. Whenever it goes through its distilling process, it leaves the minerals and any other heavy particulate behind, and then it goes through in a gas form, and it goes through its coils and then comes out the other side, dripping back in, and that's your water. The problem with that is that it is completely stripped of all mineral values. Water will find its neutral, and it likes to be just slightly above neutral, actually. It likes to have a little bit more mineral values. So if it doesn't have it coming into you or going into you, it will do what it can to make sure it has it going out of you. So the reason why it's good for detoxification is because it can help assist detoxifying the body. But it's not something that I personally recommend or something that I would do for myself when it comes to hydration, as it's not really that good for hydration. But it's good in the detox process. So spring water will be superior over purified water, just simply because spring water, natural process, purified water, man-made process, filtration, that kind of thing. And they may enrich it with minerals for taste, like Dasani does that. A lot of the popular, easy access type waters like Dasani, they will do that. They'll add minerals to it for taste. That's just to make it taste slightly sweet, but it's not sweet as if sugar's added. That's actually just the mineral content gives it a little sweetness to it. But it is manipulated after it goes through their purification process. Then they add those minerals in to create the consistency of that flavor of the water, and it does actually have a flavor. If you don't recognize the flavor, that'd be a great one. You can send me an email over at yourmaturityproject at gmail.com. It's YOUR maturityproject at gmail.com, and you can put in the header of that or the topic of the email, physical maturity and curious about water or whatever from the physical maturity series here, and I'll do my best to address your questions there. So now one of the best waters you could drink is going to be that spring water. It will have the purification process that's taken place that actually has the minerals that's coming out of the ground. That will give you, basically, it helps you get minerals into your body and it doesn't strip them out of you. So, water. Here's something that it's some of the simplest corrections that I've had for people. First off, I cannot tell you how many times I've sat down with people. It is in the thousands where I've sat down with people and talked to them about their hydration and or their weight loss endeavors. You can do the perfect diet. That diet can be absolutely perfect for you. But if you miss, like say, as far as an ancestral value, so basically the nutrition that you do the best with because your ancestry and your current circumstances, that is your genetic hand plus your current situation in your environment, has given you the specific unique challenges that you're dealing with as far as like what hormones you need in order to navigate and to be prepared for life. So cortisol, testosterone, things like that. So exactly what is your body creating in order to deal with your current environment? Because those things don't just come by way of magic. They have to have the raw material in our body in order to create it. So your current situation will also have its metabolic lifespan. So if you have excess cortisol because of a high stress value, stimulants that you're bringing in, things like that can stimulate cortisol, you're going to need to detoxify that. It's got to get out of your body. It's not like it just gets reabsorbed and then it's gone. It actually has to go through a detoxification process. So liver, the kidneys, the spleen, skin, to help get this stuff out of our body. If you are really dealing with some, stubborn fat, you've lost weight and then you plateaued off. And very common, people plateau after 90 days or roughly around a 3-month window. They start plateauing off. And there's multiple reasons for that. I'll go over more reasons in another video, a little cliffhanger for you. Or if you'd rather just skip past all this and go directly into the coaching, by all means, you can ask some questions about that. You can send the email and we'll discuss that. But as far as that goes, it's the process in the body for detoxification. If you don't have enough hydration, your body it's not going to prioritize detoxification because you're dehydrated. It will do what it can. If it cannot process this stuff out of your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, or your skin, if it cannot get this out of your body through the detoxification pathways, then it is very likely it's going to store it in body fat, because body fat will function as a holding chamber. So the adipose tissue will function as that. It's not just for caloric storage, it's also for body burden, is one of the technical terms for this. It pulls it out of the bloodstream, because if it continues to float around in the bloodstream, it could damage your organs or your visceral system. If it causes damage to your visceral system, it could affect your lifespan. So your body's smart enough to know, hey, let's get this stuff out of the bloodstream and let's put it in some body fat, because hey, at least it's quarantined, so it's not causing more problems right now. But you may have the aesthetic issues with it, or the physical discomfort of it. But if you're dehydrated, you're going to have a real hard time to get that body fat to let go, even if you have the caloric deficit, if you're eating to your cravings and you're actually satisfying your body's needs for nutrition, which is what the cravings are predominantly intended for, before other issues, which I'll talk about that in another video. Your body is trying to protect itself. So you've satisfied the other conditions that are necessary for weight loss, but you still haven't got this enough hydration for your body to detoxify. The reason why it falls into this category is that it's considered to be more in the category of sacrificial hydration, which will be your joints and your digestive system are the first two in that category, which could get into detoxification, which is kind of a secondary category, but it's real top end of that second. All it is that if you don't have enough hydration, your body's not going to be able to release the body fat to let this stuff out so that it can be detoxified, get out of your system. And your body's smart enough to know, let's not put that back in the bloodstream if I can't get it out. Let's just keep it locked up for a bit. It's a pretty intelligent system that we have. So you could be in the caloric deficit, you could be eating the right nutrition, you could be eating the right frequency, and the next thing you know, you get to a certain point and you plateau off. That's why, I'm an advocate for organic foods, but better if it's grown by you yourself or a farmer that's local. You know, there's a lot of reasons for that, but the best one for you will be, the reason for it is the freshness of the produce or the animal or whatever. It's more likely to have more life in it by the time you consume it because it's gone off of the plant and then sat for a minimal amount of time to you versus going through all the process that it takes to get to the grocery store before you finally get it. So I'm local is definitely something that I like, and I really want to support that as much as possible when it comes to local farmers and our food sources. So, and there's benefits on the health side too because it's fresher, there's more life in it. Now, in the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Oh, great book, by the way. He talks about a chronically dehydrated body, how long it takes to rehydrate a chronically dehydrated body. So if you're at that first level dehydration, which will be, your joints, your digestive tract, things like that, your what it does is it can create increased wear and tear on the joints because it reduces your synovium, which is your joint fluid. In your digestive tract, it reduces your ability to digest and assimilate because it's pulling back some of the digestive juices because it's trying to conserve hydration. You won't notice those things. Typically, it takes a while before you can actually start get to notice these things when it comes to dehydration at that level because that's typically taking place before you get the pasty tongue and the thirst craving. That's why it's a good idea to stay well hydrated. Now, in the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, he talks about taking up to 90 days to rehydrate a chronically dehydrated body. It's not just go drink a bunch of water right now. Your body's not going to be able to process that effectively all the way through, and it's likely going to re-divert that stuff and then just pass through. And next thing you know, you've got clear urine with no tenting or anything because you just took in a lot of water in a single setting. You want to increase your water up intake for multiple days, actually for up to 3 months, and then level off at, here's the equation, right? Unless you have medical reason for this not to be the case, it's half your body's weight in ounces. So whatever your LBS is, if it's like me, just a little over 200 pounds, half, I've got to drink at least 105, 110 ounces a day. It's closer to like 102 ounces, right? Let's not spruce it up too much. But that's about what I have to drink on a daily basis. That does not take into consideration diuretics, alcohol. It does not take into consideration coffee, things like that that can cost you hydration to detoxify very commonly. If you drink those things, by the way, and I've heard doctors do this, wet does not mean hydration, right? If juice is not going to be hydration, yes, there's water in it, but it's very hard to quantify how much hydration gets in your body versus the liquid being a conduit to get the other parts of that into your body. It's a saturated liquid when it comes in. If it's a juice or something like that, it functions more like a conduit than it does for hydration. I'm not telling you this to defeat you, by the way. It's a process. Anytime I'm working with somebody one-on-one, I will assess how often they actually do drink straight water. That's not the little drippers and all the rest of that stuff to try to make it taste better. Good quality water actually already tastes good as it is, and it's very refreshing. So after you drink it, you actually feel like you've actually had a very good drink of water. You feel very refreshed and satisfied versus, I don't know, keep drinking more. So when you add the other things to it, you're increasing the saturation point for that water, which means that you might take it away from dehydration to a degree and make it more of a detoxification process. So I'm going in a little deep here. I will make this very simple for you guys. Half your body's weight in ounces a day. So you don't have to know all the rest of this stuff. If you find it interesting, fantastic. And I would like to see some like buttons getting hit on this bad boy because I would like to see that this is making some difference for you people. Because look, man, we've got a lot when it comes to the maturity project. It's actually the total of a human being. I don't have the full depth of everything, so you'll see other faces show up on this that'll help give more depth and insight into a lot of these things. When it gets into the fitness category, though, there is quite a bit of expertise that I have in this because it is more than 10 years that I've been involved in that industry. Wow. Okay. It's actually almost 16 years that I've been involved in that industry now that I think about it. Now, with that, it's let's take the steps necessary. Some people need baby steps. Some people can, do the, a full leap out of it. It's just up to you, and that's where that direct one-on-one coaching helps out a lot. Now, I'm not going to just sit there and hit you with water. I will ask the question, how much water have you had? And then if you are in the need if you don't see the importance of water, then I may give you this bigger conversation just to get you to the point of going, okay, I get all those benefits and all I need to do is just drink more water. Yes, you are likely going to go to the bathroom a bit more often in the earlier stages of rehydrating your body. Fine, and it will level off. Now, if you have a doctor advising you to drink less water for certain reasons, there are some medications and or conditions that people say, hey, let's not drink so much water. Follow your doctor's directions. I'm not a doctor. I am not in that category. They are the ones that know best for you. Plus, they know you. I don't. This is just a video. But if you are dealing with, get away from the whole legal part of it, right? Let's get back to the actual, the nuts and bolts of this thing. You're going to want to keep your joints well lubricated and hydrated so that when you're doing your conditioning, you're less likely and you're reducing at least the wear and tear that comes from a dehydrated body. That doesn't mean that we're also not going to get the wear and tear because of muscle imbalances, which we'll go through program design or at least corrective exercise when I talk about that later on, because corrective exercise has to do with balancing out every joint, so you reduce the pinch points or the friction points that can happen because of too much tension in a specific direction, pulling the joint that direction. You can reduce that by balancing it out better. But if you're dehydrated and you have muscle imbalances and you were just, it's a lot of friction against the joint, that could cause all kinds of issues and damage your cartilage, all kinds of things. So it's part of my background is I'm a corrective exercise specialist. So I want to help people better understand their body so they have better preparation for movement, not just the performance side of movement. And if they are out of balance or the biomechanics are a bit off, then let's address that too. Let's see what we can do to try to put you back in better alignment. It's not a guarantee because some things would actually need medical intervention. My job is to try to reduce the wear and tear and better balance your body out so that you can have more ideal performance with longevity. So, all right, water, incredibly important. When it comes to this stuff, it is a conversation piece in the 7 questions of readiness. The simple version of this is, and you may be thinking to yourself, Chad, that's a lot of information. You don't need to memorize this. Just listen to it, hear it, and go, oh, okay, that's how the body works. I can go further into water. I don't really feel that I need to right now necessarily, except for a few other, noble mentions, if you will. Room temperature is best. Cold water actually it takes you longer to digest it because it does not want to go through your stomach into the small intestine because of the potential of shocking the small intestine because of the chill factor of cold water, because it can function just like your skin when you get goosebumps, except for whenever peristalsis is taking place. If you get goosebumps from peristalsis, you could disrupt the assimilation of digestion, and you reduce the total value of the food that you ate because you're not going to be able to absorb as much of it because you've shocked the system a little bit. So the body says, let's not let that happen, so it has the water sit in your stomach longer until it reaches a specific degree close to body temperature. Then it will let it out so that you at least don't get the chill effect in the small intestine, so that you don't disrupt peristalsis, which peristalsis is the rhythmic movement of the digestive tract. It just helps food move, kind of like watching a snake, kind of in its own way, when it moves. So, all right, now there's a lot of things actually. I've had clients that had chronic migraines, and all we did is basic corrective stretching and hydration. So it can be that important. Plus, if you just try on water, very, very seldom is water the problem as far as it exacerbates the issue. Very common, though, water actually will alleviate the issue. I have had clients that, and there, one girl in particular, she was in her mid 20s, and this poor girl was dealing with chronic migraines. She could not leave the house. She'd go to work and then go home and stay at home in a dark room and just hope that her headache would go away or her migraine would go away. And then when she met me and I did her assessment, her fitness assessment, well, it turns out that her issue is that she was chronically dehydrated, and it was affecting her brain function, causing these migraines because of how dehydrated she was. Chronic dehydration is different than acute dehydration. Acute dehydration could have more immediate and negative health effects because it can cause a lot of major issues. There's 3 phases to dehydration. So it's mild, moderate, and severe. So I like to talk about it, and let's not get too crazy with it. If you are chronically dehydrated, it could take you up to 3 months of drinking at minimum half your body's weight a day. Again, if you're drinking alcohol, coffee, teas, there's a lot of teas that fall into that. It's basically any of the caffeinated teas. You will have to detoxify that. It's a diuretic, compared to, just being a conduit, which is, it's not really hydration either when it's a conduit because it's saturated. So you can have it. I'm not saying don't enjoy your life. I'm just saying let's do this smarter, right? Let's do this, without so much of the negative hardships of things. So if you're dealing with that pesky little bit of fat and you've got enough cardio, which I'm not the biggest advocate for cardio. You'll find that out when I talk about cardio versus strength conditioning. It doesn't mean don't do it. It just means let's do it smarter. It's not volume-based type thing that's going to be heavy volume by any means. And I have a ridiculous cardio program, and it's no more than 20 minutes per setting. And it's on average, I usually will give that as a 3 times a week type thing. If you're interested in that as well, Peak 8, shoot me over an email. I'll make sure that I give you a little bit of information on that and get that conversation started. I would suggest you do the assessment before we go too far, though, and I'll be happy to do an assessment with you. So assessment's 30 minutes to an hour, depending on exactly what it is that we're looking into. And I will be doing these until January at no cost to you. So shoot me over an email. I'll be happy to actually set up a time, just a video call or a phone call, and we'll go over the assessment to find out what would be one of the best things for you to do. I also do have Fit in Over 40, a pilot program coming up, which I will talk more about that as well. Will come with a nutrition. It's a basic level nutrition program as well as a basic exercise program. So, and incredibly low cost, though, with weekly calls. So that'll be something in the very near future. You can actually send me over an email now as well at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com, YOUR, maturityproject@gmail.com, and I can get you some of that information and give you early access to the program. Okay? All right. Water. It's important. Let's make sure you're drinking. Okay? Drinking plenty of water. All right? Now, if your doctor says otherwise, listen to your doctor. All right. There's a lot to it. Soda doesn't count, by the way. Water, that's hydration. The rest of it, yeah, I would do what you can. I do what I can to try to avoid drinking too much of anything. I do not count my the beverages when I have lunch or dinner or when I have my meals. I don't count those as hydration unless it's just water. One thing to keep in mind is your stomach does not sit full of gastric juices all day long. Your taste buds trigger the types of digestive juices that get secreted in the stomach that helps you digest because your body is incredibly brilliant. If you drink too much water or liquids when you eat, you can dilute the stomach contents, the digestive juices that are intended to help you digest. If it is water, it doesn't have a whole lot to trigger as far as like what types of digestive juices, but if it's sweet, flavorful, something like that, your body at least understands what that stuff is to a degree. It'll have a profile that it knows, hey, I've got to put this much of this type of how acidic do I need to make my stomach, and it just does it for you. So keep that in mind. If you're starving, it's also likely that your stomach is pretty empty, and I don't just mean empty of food. You'll start creating digestive juices as soon as you start tasting food. So the compression of it as well plays a role. So your teeth, and they compress, they do send signals through the muscular system of the jaw and your face that helps it also understand what types of food you're dealing with, not just by the flavor. All of that dictates exactly what kind of digestive juices your stomach will actually have in it. So steak takes different acidity than chicken. So it's, your body's incredibly brilliant. So let's not overhydrate while you're eating. Rule of thumb that I use, 30 minutes before you eat, 8 to 10 ounces of water, room temperature, so it doesn't sit around in your stomach, especially if it's on an empty stomach. It'll go through pretty quickly and be used exactly as it's supposed to be, but it also does release a hormone and an enzyme that is incredibly beneficial for assimilation. So when you're assimilating the foods, it helps out a lot. So that's 30 minutes before on an empty stomach is preferable, or a practically empty stomach, and a couple 8 to 10 ounces of room temperature water. By the time you go to sit down and eat, 30 minutes after that, you will not have that. It won't be in your stomach unless there's something going on there, right? Or it was cold, or you've had food in your stomach and you're just like, whatever, I must be hungry. Yeah. So, all right, water, incredibly important. The other 6 areas also incredibly important. I'll go further into those whenever the time's right. So for now, if you are interested in finding out more about our programs, we do have 8-week accelerated weight loss programs, as well as 12 weeks, and have lifestyle programs. There's several different types. I do have the ability to make these programs very customized and unique to you. That's done through just a questionnaire for us, 14 questions, and it'll help me understand what nutritional type you are. That will help improve your results. So if you're interested in that, or interested in getting into this coaching program that I'm starting, so early access, please send me over an email. This again will be low cost. It's more for accountability and helping you guys create a new step in life. With once a week, you'll have group calls, so we can make sure that you're learning. I will be going more in depth on a lot of things in these calls, just to give you a better understanding of the body, for your health, for your fitness needs, and your longevity. So at least we want to take care of that part before we get into other parts of the physical body and its maturity. So, all right, till next time, I am your host, Chad Everbro Shears. This is the Maturity Project. Today, I've talked to you about being fit over 40 for the maturity, for physical maturity. Okay? Share this video with a person in your life you want to make a meaningful conversation with, and let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together. Let's do it right. Let's do it smart. Yesterday's failures, that's the soil you're turning into tomorrow's and today's, benefits and the desirable outcome. So, all right, let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together.